it's Kristen from Anime Collective. So I've read over 100 sci-fi manga to find the best. Alongside horror is one of my favorite genres to collect, not just because it explores these well thought out, rich worlds that are often futuristic, but because they often explore something deeper. Whether they're set on Earth or in the far reaches of space, feature advanced tech, mechas, or the dystopian societies or cyberpunk series, these are the series that stood out most. So up first is a series that probably needs no introduction. It's Akira by Katsuhiro Otomo. It's a classic that still holds up today and has only grown in popularity since its release in the 80s. Not only is it one of the greatest sci-fi and cyberpunk manga of all time, but its influence has shaped manga, anime, and even pop culture. Set in a dystopian Tokyo after a thermonuclear attack, Akira follows biker gangs, corrupt elites, and government experiments gone wrong, all tied to the awakening of terrifying supernatural powers. Its dark themes and groundbreaking vision make it one of the most iconic post-apocalyptic stories ever told. If you've only seen the anime, you're seriously missing out on this one. The manga dives way deeper with so much more story and world building. It's wild to think that it was written in the 80s but set in 2019, and it's still ahead of its time. I highly recommend picking it up through the Akira 35th Anniversary box set, my favorite manga box set to date. Now shifting gears from cyberpunk to one of the best sci-fi thrillers I've ever read. If you've seen my Naoki Urasawa creator guide, you already know I'm a huge fan of his work, but 20th Century Boys stands out even amongst his best. It's full of cult conspiracies, childhood nostalgia, and world-ending stakes in a way that somehow feels totally believable. If you're into stories like It or The Goonies, where a group of friends reconnects years later to face something they thought was long buried, this manga absolutely nails that dynamic. Urasawa jumps between past and present, showing how the events of childhood ripple into adulthood. And while that could have been messy in the wrong hands, here it makes the whole story that much more interesting. It's tense, emotional, and full of twists that actually land, and even with its larger-than-life sci-fi elements, it all feels really grounded. You can find it in the singles or the perfect editions, and honestly, it's one of those rare series that gets even better the more you think about it. If 20th Century Boys is a slow-burning thriller, then Gaunt's is like jumping headfirst into a chaotic sci-fi horror, a runaway train you can't stop, and I mean that in the best way. Gaunt's by Hiroya Oku is one of my favorite sci-fi manga, but it's also packed with suspense, gore, and a surprising amount of heart. You've got brutal fights, over-the-top weapons, and some of the best designs I've ever seen. But beneath all that chaos is an introspective look at human nature, how people act when they're thrown into life-or-death situations they can't escape. It's cinematic, relentless, and way deeper than it gets credit for. If you're curious, I go into much more detail in my spoiler-free Gaunt's review. After the chaos of Gaunt's, this one feels like a deep breath. Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko is one of the most underrated sci-fi manga out there. It's quiet, thoughtful, and strangely comforting. It follows Alpha, an android running a small cafe in a slow rural corner of a post-apocalyptic Japan. But instead of action or survival, this story is about observation. There's a deep sense of transience here. Everything fades, and that fading is treated as something beautiful, not tragic. Through Alpha's unchanging eyes, we watch people grow, move on, and disappear, while the world gently decays around her. It's a melancholic slice-of-life story dressed in sci-fi clothing. It's generally one of the most peaceful, reflective series I've ever read. Dead Dead Demons, Dead Destruction by Inio Asano isn't just one of my favorite sci-fi. It's also one of my favorite slice-of-life and comedy manga. Only Asano could blend these genres so seamlessly, and if you've seen my creator guide, you already know how much I love his work, but this one hits different. Set in Tokyo, the story unfolds beneath a massive alien mothership that looms constantly overhead. The invaders' intentions are unclear, but the fear they create sparks tension between those seeking peace and those pushing for war, and at the center of it all is a group of high school girls just trying to live their lives. It's a coming-of-age story wrapped in existential dread, exploring not just aliens, but how people react to what they don't understand. Asano's characters are as sharp and flawed as ever, but the sci-fi twist adds a layer that makes this story feel especially timely. If you want a deeper dive into this series and the rest of Asano's work, definitely check out my Inio Asano creator guide. Featured in my best manga you can read in a weekend video, Girls Last Tour is short, quiet, and is surprisingly hopeful. Told across just 6 volumes, it follows Chito and Yuri as they explore the remnants of civilization on their motorbike. They scavenge supplies, share meals, and reflect on what little remains, finding beauty in the everyday. It's melancholic but never hopeless, and honestly, it's one of the most peaceful, post-apocalyptic stories I've ever read. If Girls' Last Tour is quiet and personal, then Blom is the exact opposite: vast, intimidating, and completely unforgiving. Blom by Tsutomu Nihei is one of my favorite manga of all time. It follows Killy as he journeys through this massive, endless superstructure in search of the net terminal gene. Along the way, he meets strange allies and faces terrifying enemies like the Safeguard and Silicon Life. But honestly, this one is more about the atmosphere and experience than it is about the story. Nihei's art is on a different level. His use of scale and perspective makes every environment feel huge and alien. You really feel how small Killy is in this endless world. The designs are minimalist but creepy and memorable, and the weapons, especially the gravitational beam emitter, are some of the coolest in sci fi. If you love world building that pulls you in without explaining everything, this is a must read. I also have a full review of Blom on the channel if you want to deep dive into why it stuck with me for so long. After the scale and silence of Blom, Pluto brings us back to Earth. Pluto is Naoki Urasawa's reimagining of Astro Boy's The Greatest Robot on Earth arc, and it's one of the most powerful sci-fi I've ever read. It follows a robot detective investigating a string of murders targeting the world's most advanced robots, including Adam himself. But what makes Pluto so impactful isn't just the mystery, it's how it explores the line between human and machine. Urasawa dives deep into topics like war, grief, and discrimination, showing that robots can suffer just as deeply as humans can. It's respectful to Tezuka's original, but completely its own thing. Thrilling, philosophical, and filled with some of Urasawa's most striking work. When it comes to sci-fi classics, Trigun is a must-read. It's full of Western grit with a futuristic setting and follows Vash the Stampede, a legendary outlaw with a $60 billion double-dollar bounty. But this is a story with so much more beneath the surface, full of heart, philosophy, and layered themes. The new deluxe editions are the best way to collect it, and I've got a full comparison on the channel if you want to check it out. Now for something a little more absurd but just as unforgettable, Gintama. Few series have made me laugh as hard as Gintama. It's hands down the funniest manga I've ever read, and also my favorite shonen to date. Set in an alternate Edo period taken over by aliens, it follows Gintoki and his Odd Jobs crew as they take on the weirdest requests imaginable. It's chaotic, absurd, and packed with non-stop humor, but to call it just a comedy would be selling this one short. Because when Gintama gets serious, it really hits. The characters are strong, the action is dynamic, and the emotional moments are great too. It's episodic but builds into a larger arc, and the world is one of the most unique in sci-fi. Only 23 of the 77 volumes were released in English, so if anyone's listening, please give us the full print run. This series really deserves it. Going from Gintama to this feels like emotional whiplash in the most soul-crushing way possible. Chikopi's Original Sin is a short, devastating sci-fi drama by Tizen 5. It follows Chikopi, a cheerful alien from the Happy Planet who meets a girl named Shizuka and quickly learns that human emotions like pain, anger, and guilt are far more complex than he imagined. It's only 2 volumes, but it hits harder than series twice its length. It's dark, it's beautiful, and it's one of the most emotionally intense manga I've ever read. When I think of cyberpunk manga, The Ghost in the Shell by Masamune Shirow is right up there with Akira and Alita. First released in 1989, it's a timeless classic and one of the most influential sci-fi of all time. The story follows Section 9, led by Major Motoko Kusanagi, as they track down cyber criminals, especially the mysterious hacker known as the Puppeteer. It's packed with action, but also dives into politics, AI, and cybercrime. But what really makes this one stand out, though, is the world building. It feels so dense and believable, and once you're in it, it totally pulls you into its world. If you're into high-concept sci-fi, this is one you need to check out. Alright, so for this next one, anytime there's a character that has psychic powers, there's always this debate, is it supernatural or sci-fi? With Hinamatsuri, it leans sci-fi for me. The series follows a Yakuza member named Mita, whose life is upended when a middle school girl with telekinetic powers, Hina, crashes into his apartment, literally. What follows is hilarious and surprisingly heartwarming. The found family vibe is strong in this one, and the story gives space for its full cast to grow. It's slice of life at its core, but the low-key sci-fi elements and dry humor keep things weird in the best way possible. Made in Abyss comes across as a fantasy series at first, but its core is rooted in science fiction. It takes place around a massive pit known as the Abyss, where cave raiders explore ancient ruins filled with relics and technology from a long-lost civilization. We follow Rico, a young girl who enters the Abyss with Reg, a mysterious robotic boy with forgotten origins and powerful tech. As they descend, they encounter artifacts, biomechanical life forms, and experiments that push the boundaries of what it means to be human. There's wonder and adventure, but also lost trauma and the harsh reality of curiosity gone too far. It's beautiful, unsettling, and completely unlike anything else. And this is the reason Made in Abyss earns its spot as one of the best modern sci fi. Along with Made in Abyss, this next one, Heavenly Delusion, took me by surprise in the best way. It's set in a broken, post apocalyptic world, but there's still this feeling of life and curiosity underneath all of that. Inside the walls, kids are raised by robots in what looks like a little slice of heaven, but outside it's a world that's fallen apart and taken over by supernatural beings. There's this constant tension between survival and hope that makes it so thrilling. If you like Eden or Made in Abyss, this one is one I definitely recommend checking out. It's one of the most unique sci-fi stories I've read in a while. Parasite is a sci-fi horror classic that follows Shinichi, a high schooler whose hand is taken over by an alien parasite named Miggy. Unlike others who are completely consumed, Shinichi retains his mind, allowing him to fight back against the growing threat. It's eerie, violent, and filled with disturbing body horror, but it also raises deep questions as well. You can collect Parasite in the full color editions or the original singles, and I compare both on my channel if you're deciding which one to get. You can't have a best sci-fi manga list without including Gundam, especially Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin, one of the greatest mecha of all time. While the original anime kicked off Gundam's iconic Universal Century timeline, the manga adaptation came later and offers a deeper, more refined take on this story. It's not just a simple retelling either, it's an enhanced, more mature version that expands on the original material with stunning artwork. The manga adds context and backstory to key events and characters, making it a rewarding read even for longtime fans. While there are a few changes from the anime, they only serve to enrich the story rather than take away from it. The artwork alone is worth experiencing. Yasuhiko's illustrations breathe new life into the world of Gundam, and his portrayal of these iconic characters make this version stand out. If you're new to Gundam or a mecha fan looking for a starting point, Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin is the perfect place to start. For the best reading experience, go with the hardcover editions, they're beautifully made, but also keep an eye out for the deluxe editions releasing from Kodansha. Battle Angel Alita is set in a dystopian future where a cybernetic girl named Alita is discovered in a scrapyard with no memory of her past. As she tries to uncover who she really is, she becomes a bounty hunter, and what follows is a brutal, heartfelt journey about identity, survival, and what it means to be human. The deluxe editions from Kodansha, especially the box set, do this iconic series justice. You get 5 hardcover volumes, new translations, full-color pages, short stories, and 2 stunning prints. The print quality is leagues above the previous English releases, and the box set is hands down one of the best I own. From a gritty cyberpunk future to a hard-hitting mecha series, Bokurano takes the genre into a darker, more emotional direction. It's a dark mecha sci-fi about a group of kids forced to pilot a giant robot to protect Earth, except the cost of each battle is devastating. Every mission focuses on a different pilot, making it one of the most emotionally brutal and character-driven mecha series I've ever read. It's really out of print right now, but if you want to check it out for cheaper, you can grab the volumes on sale through Kindle. That's actually how I read this amazing series. Speaking of Evangelion, Neon Genesis Evangelion is based on the iconic 1995 anime, but the manga actually started in 1994 before the show aired because of production delays. It was written and illustrated by Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, the character designer for the anime. While it follows the same general story, the manga includes alternate scenes, some key differences, and a completely different ending. It brings a bit more clarity to the anime, making it absolutely worth reading even if you've already seen the series. It's one of the most influential of all time, packed with psychological depth, rich lore, and world building that still holds up. If you're thinking about picking it up, I also have a review of the different editions available. Planetes by Makoto Yukimura, who you may know as the creator of Vinland Saga, is one of my favorite space-themed series. Set in the 2070s, it follows a small crew tasked with cleaning up dangerous space debris orbiting Earth. And while the premise sounds simple, it's anything but. This is hard sci-fi grounded in real physics and human emotion. It explores ambition, loneliness, and purpose through the eyes of the characters who feel incredibly real. There's no flashy action or wild tech gimmicks, just thoughtful storytelling, great character work, and a setting that feels both distant and familiar. I also compared the different editions on my channel, and I'll be reviewing the new deluxe edition when it drops this summer, so keep an eye out for that too. This next one, Eden It's an Endless World, is raw, relentless, and emotionally brutal, and is easily one of the most underrated sci-fi manga I've ever read. Written by Hiroki Endo, this series is set in a post-apocalyptic future ravaged by a virus that hardens skin and dissolves internal organs. Those who survive are either left disabled or forced to rely on cybernetic enhancements, and in the chaos, a paramilitary group called the Propiter has overthrown the UN and seized control of the world. This story follows Elijah, a young man searching for his mother, accompanied by an AI combat robot. Along the way, he gets pulled into the resistance, and what unfolds is a deeply political, violent, and surprisingly human story about survival, corruption, and loss. It's dark and unflinching, but there are small, quiet moments of warmth too, and that contrast is what makes it hit so hard. Unfortunately, it's tough to collect right now since the singles are out of print, but I'm really hoping we'll get a deluxe edition someday because it really deserves one. Okay, so that's it for my main list, but there's some newer ongoing series I want to mention. First up is Don. This one's unique because it's only partially sci-fi, but the elements that are there, they absolutely make it a must-read. There are alien abductions, UFO cults, psychic powers, and time-warping interdimensional threats, all jammed into one gloriously unhinged series. Created by Yukinobu Tatsu, who is an assistant to Chainsaw Man and Hell Paradise's creators, Don has a similar energy, absolute madness but full of heart. It's laugh-out-loud funny, full of charm, and it constantly keeps you on your toes. By blending sci-fi and supernatural in one crazy, cohesive world, Don has quickly become one of my favorites. You'll also want to keep your eye out for Rebuild World, one of the best new sci-fi manga in years. It is survival action and features advanced tech and top-tier world building with some of the most stunning art I've seen in a recent release. If you're into gritty, futuristic stories, this one's a standout. It's only out digitally right now, but hopefully we get a print release soon. And last but certainly not least, if you like post-apocalyptic sci-fi with a heavy atmosphere, The Color of the End is another standout. It follows Saya as she wanders a desolate world in search of survivors, with haunting art and quiet emotional storytelling that really sticks with you. Also, I forgot to mention a much-needed shout-out to Space Brothers, a story about dreams and two brothers who long for outer space. This one is deserving of a print release but has yet to be released in English. The anime is great too if you want to check it out. Alright guys, so there you have it. I love sci-fi, and these manga are some of my absolute favorites. As I read and find new ones, I'll update you guys with more recommendations. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know your favorite sci-fi manga too. I'm always looking for more to check out. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you all next time.